Alrighty, what's up guys? My name is Mallory and I will be teaching this little workshop today. So I'm a self-taught makeup artist. I started doing it like way back in middle school, like looking at YouTube videos and just learning and buying all the products. And so since then I've been working on a few Emerson sets, just building up my portfolio. If there was an SFX major, I would be doing that as well as film production, but it's definitely a fun little hobby. And I have had the opportunity to work on a professional set, the Hulu show Castle Rock, which was really cool. So I got some cool experience there that I can share with you guys. But first off, would everyone mind just introducing yourself and saying why you're attending this workshop / what interests you about special effects makeup? Anyone can start too. Does anybody want to share? It's fine if not. Just here to observe.
I guess I can go. Sorry, my camera isn't on, but I'm Rayanne. And I'm just interested in makeup. Like I got really into it this year. I used to go to a private school which had like really strict rules, so we like couldn't really wear makeup that much, or at least we couldn't wear fun makeup.
Right.
So I started getting into the more fun stuff this year, and I kind of just want to see what else there is.
Totally. That's awesome. Yeah. Nice to meet you, Rayanne. Anyone else want to share? All right, cool. Then I'll just start pretty much. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to just demonstrate a gash wound, just a simple gash wound that is realistic for movie makeup and the products that you use to create that. And then also just simple bruising, things that are very commonly asked of makeup artists on sets, especially Emerson sets. And then I'll just give you a few extra tips on just what to do when you're actually on set, if it's your first time on set or just in general. And then I have a little recipe for fake blood if you're trying to make some from home and you want to bring it to set if you're working on a set, then, or if you just want to play around with it. I mean, Halloween's coming soon, so, you know. Oh, sweet, we have one more person joining too. Hello, how's it going? We just started, but I'm gonna start off with a demonstration. Let me see. Oh yeah, great, you're connected. Awesome, okay. Alrighty, so in terms of gashes, and I do recommend if you're interested in doing makeup for sets or just wanna create these looks at home on your own, you can write down the products that I tell you just that I'm using, because they're pretty cheap and you can buy them on Amazon and just kind of play around with it wherever you are. So I'm gonna go right here. My face might be out of it, but all right. So this first thing is modeling wax. It's a great alternative to latex, which is a completely different product. This is just wax, and I use it mostly on all sets that I've worked on. It's like you can mold it to however you want and it matches skin color pretty well. So the first thing to do when you're creating a gash wound, just a simple gash wound, say you have a character who has it, I always put a little bit of spirit gum. That's the second thing that I use. And I always put it down first. I'm just gonna show you guys right in the middle of my hands. This can be anywhere on the body though. All right, and with spirit gum, it's really important that it is tacky. So you actually tap it for a bit until you can feel it start to get really tacky and stick. This is just to ensure that it's gonna stay on your actor through the shoot and won't start sweating off of their body, because that's a very common thing to happen. So this is the wax. It's called, the one that I have is Miron. That's the brand. if you're interested in writing that down, Miron modeling wax. So I just scoop tiny bit. Also, if you have any questions during the middle of this, you can stop me. Feel free to ask anything. So this is kind of what the modeling wax looks like. It's just like this sticky substance that you can mold however you like it. So I usually, to just create a gash wound, I'll take the wax, how you can do as little or as much as you want, and kind of plop it right on the spirit gum. And then you kind of start molding it to the hand a little bit. And eventually you're going to blend in the edges. And it's always exciting when you're in this stage because it doesn't look like anything and then it starts to look really cool. But modeling wax is also great for creating scars. If you guys are called to create some type of big scar or even just like small little slivers, if you just blend this into the skin and keep it really fine, it looks very realistic scar-wise. So the next thing that I use to create this is coconut oil, which anyone can get, you know, it's cheap. And I just put it in this little bottle and take it around in my kit. So what you do is you just take a little bit, and this is how you blend it to the skin because it's a very waxy substance. And I just put it around the corners of the modeling wax and you blend it in and just kind of, you can either use like a sculpting tool. Sometimes I'll use, I really use just whatever's on hand, like a paintbrush or something, and you just kind of slowly blend out into the skin. Because in filmmaking too, I don't know if anyone's done makeup for theater, but it's very different in the way that you see every detail of the actual product on camera. So it's really important that it's well blended and looks as realistic as possible. So anyways, blend it into the skin. I usually use my hands because it's a really good way of getting it as close to the skin as possible. Alrighty. Hello there.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I had trouble getting the link.
You're totally fine, no worries. I'm gonna resend, there's a Google, let me send it. I just sent in the chat, there's like a little Google form you can fill out for attendance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And just to catch you up too, all that I've done so far is I'm going through just a demonstration of how to do a simple gash wound for a makeup on set. And the first, like I'm going through the ingredients that you'd need or the products that you need. So the first one's modeling wax, spirit gum, and right now I'm using coconut oil to blend the edges together.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, no worries, yeah. So you keep blending it in. And sometimes like this can create a really big gash wound because I used a lot of wax. So you'll see when I open this up, it's gonna turn into a pretty big wound. All right. So now we get to create the actual gash part of it. So now that we have this laid down and kind of blended in, you can take a brush, or sometimes I use the metal clips that you put in a hair. A bobby pin will work too. And you pretty much just draw exactly where you're gonna have the gash within the wax. You can go deep, you can kind of divot it and make it open up a little bit, however you want it. A lot of special effects is just eyeballing and seeing what looks real and what doesn't. You can open it up. Let me know if you guys can see this well enough too. Yeah, you open this thing up And once we add color to it, that also defines it a ton. So anyways, this is how you open it up and make it kind of nasty looking. All right. So the next tool I highly recommend getting if you're looking to go into SFX makeup is a stipple brush or a stipple sponge. This is what it looks like. It's really good for creating texture in skin and just kind of adding little dots to a makeup. Because a lot of the time when you get like a slash on your hand or on your arm, blood is gonna splatter and kind of go all over the place. So it's good to kind of mess up the makeup with a stipple sponge like this. And I have some cream makeup that was on the sponge before, so it's kind of has some pigment to it already. That's why I'm using it. I'll show you guys what that is in a bit. Anyways, so you just stipple the area, kind of dirty it up. All right. The palette that I use is Miron. This is a Bruise palette. Very, very great tool to have in your kit. Bruises are something that just happen a lot on sets, and I've used numerous times on numerous occasions. I also use it for these wounds. It's like a multi-purpose type of thing. And yeah, so I usually go in with a dark cream color. That starts to define the wound a little bit, and usually our blood is a little dark, so it adds a little bit of that. Can you guys see this okay? Okay, great. I don't have like one of those ring lights like the TikTokers and stuff, so we'll just work with this. Yeah, and then I get some red in there, just kind of work in the colors. And like I said, it's a lot of eyeballing, just whatever feels or looks right. You just do that. And you can move the wax around. It's very malleable. If you wanted to stitch, you could get a needle and thread and you could actually stitch through it and give that effect. It's a very, very cool product. Highly recommend the modeling wax. Anyways, all right. So now that we've got the base of the wound here, these are the wedge sponges that I have. I highly recommend grabbing these if you're looking to work with this stuff. It's just a basic makeup tool to have. So if you have beauty sponges, it's very similar. You can use those too. So I get a wedge sponge. I get my Bruise palette, and I usually just get a little bit of red and add some around the wound to give it some depth. Yeah, and you know, it's okay if you see little like edges or things that might look a little off right now, because when you add blood covers up everything, and it's like this magic tool. So it doesn't have to look perfect. It's more so if it's got the right shape. And always ask your actor too, when you're on set, if they're allergic to any materials, because you'd be surprised how many people are allergic to latex if you're working with latex. You can always test a product out on someone as well. You can ask them just to see if they're allergic, because some people are, you know, actors can sometimes be a little bit worried about that stuff. Just totally valid. Anyways, so yeah, you just kind of can mess around with that a little bit, right? Just to get it however you like it. Stipple sponge it up again if you want. The stipple sponge is always great to keep adding a little bit of definition in there. Right. Yeah, and once it's at a place where you feel like it's ready to kind of be bloodied up or have a little bit bring it to life fully, right? Stipple sponge also, guys, great for creating scratches. If you need to like do like werewolf scratches, or I don't know, like if they fell on the pavement, a skateboarding accident or something, stipple brush is great. Stipple sponge rather, it's great for doing that. Great. So this is my fake blood. It's homemade. The ingredients, if you're wondering, are cornstarch, corn syrup, and red and black food coloring. And you can actually add coffee grounds if you want to make textured blood. It's very cheap and easy to make. So this is the one that I use when I'm on set. All right. So I usually just take a little brush, dollop some of that stuff, and then you just kind of get it in there. All right, yeah. And then this, this is a big gash, obviously, so there would be blood, dripping from it. There would be some blood remnants. Like some of special effects makeup too is just kind of like looking up the anatomy of a wound before you apply it, just to make sure that it's going to be accurate and read well on screen. So for this one, I might take the stipple, kind of stipple some blood around as if it like, kind of was going everywhere. And yeah, and you can always like, if there's a bandage or someone's putting like, it's a reveal with this type of thing, sometimes you can add blood just to make it to the actual like bandage to make it realistic and then have it pop up. Anyways, this blood, it's kind of old, so it's a little lighter than I'd like it, but you get the idea based on this of like just a gash as if someone like slashed their hand with a knife. This is a very simple and easy way of doing that. And you can keep adding and making it, more textured or more grotesque, however you want to make it. But that's how you do a simple gash wound for screen. And as you can tell, it blends in pretty well and it moves pretty well with your skin. The modeling wax is good. So that's that. And with the bruise palette out, I'll show you guys too just how I make a simple bruise. Also, does anyone have any questions about how to do this first makeup or what materials are needed? Cool. Awesome. Alrighty. So with the bruise palette, old bruises always have the little bits of yellow. That's why that's included in here. But a fresh bruise is really just going to be maybe a little bit black and blue, maybe a tiny bit of red. Similar to the gash wound, it's all about just kind of eyeballing it. So say I've got someone punched me in my bicep. I don't know why someone would do that, but I have a bruise on my bicep. You'd kind of just like play around with the wedge sponge and start with the darker color. And bruises are in all shapes and sizes, so you kind of have a lot of leeway here to work with it. Maybe there's a little bit of red. And then you just blend it. It's easier than you'd think to just create a bruise look. Cool. Yeah, if it's an old bruise, you want to add some yellow in there. Yellow, you can just add a little bit and it starts to look all nasty. So can you guys see that? It's, and you can go darker, lighter, whatever, but those are like two very basic, but also very fundamental and necessary special effects makeup applications that you might do if you're called on a set. Yeah. Anyways, so also I had opened up the floor earlier to talk about like why you're interested in this or why you came to this workshop. Did you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I think it's like really cool, and I don't have like a lot of experience with like more advanced like makeup stuff to do it with. Like I've used like eyeshadow, and that's like my extent of like trying to make bruises and stuff. But I'm going to be working on a short film. Either they don't know if they want to do it next semester or the semester after, where there's like zombies. So I figured like it'd be helpful to
Sure. Yeah. You know what? Then why don't I show you a very cool trick for zombie makeups, because I've done a couple of those too. Um, so definitely invest in wedge sponges because they're a great tool and different from beauty sponges because you can do this to it. So what I do to do zombie makeups is you pick apart the end of the wedge sponge and just kind of pull at it. This is actually what they use on Castle Rock too, which was like the only professional set I've worked on. This is where I learned that. You just pull off all of the end of this and it creates this textured look on the end. Definitely invest in a bruise palette. Or also there are a lot of grunge palettes that are used for zombie makeups. They just kind of have all those nasty dirt colors. Anyways, you can use a bruise palette, a cream palette. And if you're doing a zombie makeup, you know, definitely give them that contour, deep contours if they're dead, maybe a pale skin. But if you're like working with just dirtying them up and stuff, like on their face, let me see if I can do this on myself without a mirror. Like if you're going under the eyes, you don't want to just do like full dark, the same color. You take the stipple and you go and you kind of give that dead look with this sponge. Gosh, I don't know if this is giving the result that I want over the screen, but yeah, you just get those contouring areas. And honestly, zombies are just like dirty and like nasty. So adding like all the different like nasty greens and dark colors all over their face is a good tip. Lots of blood, just even like up here, you know what I mean? That's really cool though, that you're gonna do that. What's the story about?
So it's also like a musical. So like they find out that the only way that they can like beat the zombies is they're scared of music. So they have to like sing to like beat them in fights and stuff. And it's about like this girl who wants to get to her sister. So yeah.
Oh, that sounds cool actually. I like that there's a musical aspect to it.
Yeah.
Very
I
cool.
told the producers, I was like, have fun with that. That's gonna be a lot of work, but it's gonna turn out really cool in the end. It's just gonna be really stressful.
There'll be a payoff, I'm sure.
Definitely.
And if they're zombies, like they're definitely gonna have like it's gonna look kind of weird over screen and I'm not looking at myself, but they would have blood, you know, like crusty blood on their face or like pulling down. It's really just about like dirtying them up and adding some texture to their skin with the brush. But at least that's what I've done in the past when working with zombies. They might have a different vision of how they want them to look, whether that's theatrical or not. But that's really cool. Yeah. Highly recommend modeling wax, stipple sponge, bruise palette, wedge sponges, and just like brushes. Make your own blood. Don't spend money on blood. Yeah. And let me see what else I have planned. So my little extra tips too when working with actors is make sure you know what your actors look like before you work with them, because skin color comes into play. You have to match skin color sometimes when working with different products, and that might be on a student set, just asking people to bring their own foundation, because sometimes it's very difficult to buy a foundation for someone based on a picture. And then I said this before, but always ask your actor beforehand about allergies, because some people are allergic to latex. You can buy non-toxic latex if you're working with that. Usually you're safe with modeling wax, though. Modeling wax is a great tool because it's like no one's really allergic to wax. If you are, I apologize. Yeah, and pretty much like I said, my recipe for fake blood: cornstarch, corn syrup, red and black food coloring, and add coffee grounds if you want some texture. But yeah, that's pretty much like what I planned on demonstration wise, and I just wanted to open it up for anybody who's curious about anything else or has any questions about supplies or materials or how to get on a set as a makeup artist or whatever you guys are wondering. And if no one has questions, that's totally fine too. I have a few more things I can show you as well if you're interested. Cool. Well, if anything pops in your head, just say something. Another thing I can quickly show you guys too.
I'm actually going to leave if that's okay, because I have a few more things I have to get
totally. This was supposed to be a half an hour too, I think, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you're good to go. Nice to meet you. Take care.
Nice to meet you
too. Veining is also great for zombies. Some zombies have like these really cool veins. You can create that with the same cheap products, Bruise palette and that. And so, for example, I'll do it on my hand where the gash is. Let's see if I can do this around the makeup. Just creating like little veins coming from wounds sometimes can be really creepy to create that like diseased look. You can use just a very fine brush and a dark color and just come out. Some zombies might have veins popping out of their forehead. But yeah, you just pretty much can create like little fine lines coming out, and it can add a very grotesque and creepy, distressed or diseased look. It's not really coming across well, but yeah. And then another good thing to have in your kit, 99% alcohol. A lot of makeups are alcohol based, especially if you buy a palette that's alcohol based. It's always good to have that in your kit. Got this little thing of latex. I haven't spent a lot of money on makeup other than the palettes, so I recommend like don't go crazy trying to buy all these fancy products when you can get around, you know, fake blood by making it on your own. Just get a simple, small little, like, for example, this is wrinkle stipple, but it's just latex. Just get small ones because they last a while. Yeah. And a lot of student films will pay for makeup. So if they do, send the receipts to them, because if you are spending a lot of money, it'll add up. Yeah, pretty much that's all I had planned. But if anyone ever has any questions, or you're working on a set and you're like, I don't know what to do, I'll drop my number in the chat too. I love working and collaborating with other makeup artists, especially Emerson ones. So let's, you know, help each other out. And just, yeah, if you ever needed anything or have any questions related to makeup, please feel free to reach out. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had planned. So does anyone have any last questions? I just want to put it out there. Nope. All right, great. Well, take care and make sure to fill out the form if you haven't, that I dropped in the chat for attendance. And if you filled it out, you're good to go.